Everything in your life may feel like it's falling apart. But what if I told you that's exactly how it looks when everything is about to come together? Right before your greatest blessing, life doesn't get easier, it gets louder, heavier, and more demanding. The signs are there, but most people misread them and walk away too soon. Have you ever noticed how the moment you decide to grow, everything starts resisting you? Doors close, people change, pressure increases. You start questioning everything, even yourself. But what if that tension isn't punishment? What if it's preparation? Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will shift how you interpret every struggle, every delay, and every unexpected turn in your life. Disturbance is often the first and most misunderstood signal that something significant is about to shift in your life. It doesn't arrive gently or politely. It interrupts your comfort, unsettles your routine, and creates a sense of dissatisfaction with things that once felt normal. You may wake up one day and realize that what used to excite you now feels empty. What once brought peace now feels limiting, and what once made sense now feels misaligned. This internal unrest can be confusing because on the surface, nothing may appear drastically wrong, yet within you, everything feels different. That tension is not accidental. It is the evidence that your awareness is expanding beyond your current environment. Disturbance challenges your sense of stability because it is designed to push you out of spaces that can no longer support your growth. Human nature tends to cling to familiarity, even when it becomes restrictive. You can remain in situations that no longer serve you simply because they are predictable. Disturbance disrupts that attachment by making comfort feel uncomfortable. It shifts your perspective so that staying the same begins to feel more painful than changing. In this way, it acts as a catalyst, forcing you to confront the gap between where you are and where you are meant to be. This phase often brings emotional friction. You might feel restless without knowing why, or experience a persistent sense that something is missing. It can affect your decisions, your relationships, and even your sense of identity. Conversations that once felt engaging may now feel shallow. Environments that once felt safe may now feel confining. These reactions are not signs of instability. They are signs of increased sensitivity to purpose. You are becoming more aware of what aligns with your future and what belongs to your past. Disturbance also exposes patterns that were previously hidden or ignored. It highlights areas where you have settled, compromised, or delayed necessary change. This awareness can be uncomfortable, but it is essential because clarity often begins with disruption. Without disturbance, there would be no motivation to move, no reason to question, and no urgency to grow. It serves as the internal alarm system that signals the need for transition, preparing you mentally and emotionally for what is ahead. Pressure is one of the clearest indicators that your capacity is being expanded to handle something greater than what you have carried before. It often shows up as an increase in responsibility, expectation, or demand on your time, energy, and focus. Situations begin to require more from you than usual, and you may feel stretched in ways that are unfamiliar. This can create a sense of weight, as if everything is happening at once and there is little room to pause. What makes pressure difficult is not just the workload itself, but the internal adjustment required to manage it. You are being forced to think differently, act more decisively, and operate at a higher level than you have previously maintained. Pressure reveals the difference between potential and developed capacity. Many people have the ability to do more, but ability alone is not enough. It must be activated and refined through challenge. When pressure increases, it pushes you beyond automatic habits and into intentional action. You can no longer rely on what is easy or familiar. Instead, you are required to prioritize, to focus, and to make choices that align with long-term growth rather than short-term comfort. This process can feel intense because it exposes weaknesses in your systems, your mindset, and your discipline. However, those exposures are not meant to discourage you. They are meant to show you exactly where growth is needed. Pressure also sharpens awareness. Under normal conditions, it is easy to overlook inefficiencies or distractions. Under pressure, those same things become obvious because they interfere with your ability to perform. You begin to recognize what truly matters and what must be eliminated. This refinement is essential because greater opportunities require greater clarity and efficiency. Without pressure, there would be no urgency to develop these qualities. Emotionally, pressure can create moments of doubt or fatigue, especially when results are not immediate. You may question whether you are capable of sustaining the demands placed on you. Yet this is precisely where transformation occurs. As you continue to operate under pressure, you begin to adapt. What once felt overwhelming gradually becomes manageable, and your confidence grows as you realize that you can handle more than you initially believed. Separation is one of the most emotionally challenging yet necessary processes that occurs when your life is shifting towards something greater. It often begins subtly, through a change in how you feel around certain people, places, or habits that once felt natural. Connections that used to energize you may start to feel draining. Conversations may lose depth, and environments that once felt like home may begin to feel restrictive. This shift is not always dramatic or confrontational. In many cases, it is quiet and internal. You simply begin to recognize that you no longer fit in spaces where you once belonged. This experience can create confusion because it challenges your sense of loyalty and familiarity. You may feel torn between honoring your growth and maintaining relationships or patterns that have been part of your life for a long time. It is natural to question whether you are changing too much or becoming distant. However, separation is not about rejection or superiority. It is about alignment. As your mindset, values, and purpose evolve, you become more sensitive to what supports that evolution and what hinders it. What once matched your level of awareness may no longer resonate with who you are becoming. Separation also serves as a form of protection. Not every environment or relationship is designed to support your next stage of growth. Some connections are rooted in past versions of yourself, and remaining in them can limit your ability to fully step into new opportunities. When separation occurs, it creates space. Space for new ideas, new relationships, and new directions to enter your life. Without that space, growth would be restricted by the weight of what no longer belongs. Emotionally, this process can feel like loss. Even when you understand the reason behind it, there may still be a sense of grief as you let go of what is familiar. You might miss the comfort of shared history or the predictability of old patterns. At the same time, there is often a growing sense of clarity and self-respect. You begin to value alignment over attachment and purpose over comfort. This shift strengthens your ability to make decisions based on who you are becoming rather than who you used to be, allowing your life to gradually reflect a higher level of intention and direction. Clarity often emerges in a way that feels paradoxical, because it does not always arrive when everything around you is calm or organized. In many cases, it develops in the middle of uncertainty, when external circumstances seem unstable, but something within you becomes steady. You may not have every answer, or a complete plan, yet there is a growing sense of direction that feels difficult to ignore. This inner knowing does not depend on visible evidence, it is rooted in alignment. You begin to sense what is right for you, even when it does not yet make logical sense to others. This clarity changes how you interpret your experiences. Situations that once confused you start to make more sense, and decisions that once felt complicated become simpler. It is not because life has become easier, but because your perspective has shifted. You start to see patterns, recognize distractions, and understand the difference between what is urgent and what is important. This awareness allows you to move with greater intention rather than reacting to everything around you. You become less influenced by external opinions and more guided by internal conviction. Clarity also strengthens your decision-making. Instead of hesitating or seeking constant validation, you begin to trust your judgment. There is a quiet confidence that develops, not based on certainty of outcomes, but on certainty of direction. Even when faced with risk or unfamiliar territory, you feel anchored in the belief that you are moving towards something meaningful. This reduces the noise of doubt and helps you stay focused, especially when challenges arise. Another aspect of clarity is the ability to let go of what does not align. When your vision becomes sharper, it becomes easier to recognize what no longer fits. Opportunities that once seemed attractive may no longer hold the same appeal if they do not support your direction. This discernment is essential because not every opportunity is meant for you, even if it appears beneficial on the surface. Clarity helps you choose based on purpose rather than impulse. Emotionally, this phase can feel both empowering and isolating. As your understanding deepens, you may realize that not everyone sees what you see or feels what you feel. This can create moments of distance in conversations or relationships, but it also reinforces your independence. You begin to rely less on external reassurance and more on your own sense of alignment, allowing you to move forward with consistency and focus even when the path ahead is not fully visible. If this message is resonating with you, don't ignore it. Share this with someone who is in a season of pressure because they might be closer to their breakthrough than they realize. Unusual opportunities often appear in ways that do not match your expectations or previous patterns of progress. They may come through unexpected conversations, sudden invitations, or situations that seem unrelated to your current path but carry a sense of significance. What makes these opportunities different is not just their timing, but the way they align with your growth. They tend to stretch you beyond your comfort zone while simultaneously feeling like a natural next step. This combination of discomfort and alignment is what makes them easy to overlook if you are only looking for familiar forms of success. These opportunities rarely arrive with complete clarity. In many cases, they require you to act with limited information, trusting your awareness rather than waiting for certainty. This can feel risky, especially if you are used to making decisions based on clear outcomes. However, unusual opportunities are often designed to develop your ability to recognize alignment without needing full control. They encourage you to rely on your evolving perspective and to step into spaces that require growth rather than guarantee comfort. Another characteristic of these opportunities is their connection to people. You may encounter individuals who provide insight, access, or direction that you could not have created on your own. These connections can feel significant, even in brief interactions, as if they carry a purpose beyond coincidence. Conversations may open doors, shift your thinking, or introduce you to environments that expand your vision. The key is not to focus on the surface of the interaction, but to recognize the potential within it. Often, a single connection can lead to multiple pathways if you remain attentive and engaged. Unusual opportunities also test your readiness. They may demand skills, confidence, or discipline that you are still developing. This can create hesitation, as you may feel unprepared or uncertain about your ability to handle what is being presented. However, the presence of the opportunity itself is often an indication that you are capable of growing into it. Rather than waiting to feel completely ready, you are being invited to develop through action. This shift in mindset allows you to see opportunities not as final destinations, but as platforms for expansion. There is also a level of discernment required, because not every opportunity is meant to be pursued. Some may appear appealing, but do not align with your direction. Recognizing the difference requires awareness of your purpose and the ability to evaluate whether an opportunity supports your long-term growth or simply offers short-term gain. Inner conviction is the quiet but powerful force that begins to rise within you when you are approaching a significant shift. It is not loud, emotional, or dependent on external approval. Instead, it is steady, consistent, and deeply rooted in your sense of alignment. You begin to feel certain about your direction, even when there is little visible evidence to support it. This kind of certainty can be difficult to explain to others because it does not come from what can be seen or measured. It comes from an internal awareness that continues to strengthen over time. As this conviction grows, it starts to override the need for validation. You may notice that opinions that once influenced you no longer carry the same weight. Doubt from others may still exist, but it does not penetrate as deeply as it once did. This is because your decisions are no longer being shaped primarily by external voices. Instead, they are guided by a deeper understanding of what aligns with your purpose. This shift can feel isolating at times, especially if you are used to seeking reassurance before taking action. But it also creates a strong sense of independence. Inner conviction also stabilizes you during uncertainty. When circumstances are unclear or outcomes are unknown, it acts as an anchor that keeps you grounded. You may not know exactly how things will unfold, but you trust that you are moving in the right direction. This trust allows you to continue taking steps forward, even when progress feels slow or obstacles appear. Without this internal stability, it would be easy to retreat at the first sign of difficulty. Another important aspect of inner conviction is its connection to discipline. It is not just a feeling, it influences how you act. When you are guided by conviction, your behaviour begins to reflect your beliefs. You become more consistent, more focused, and more intentional with your time and energy. Distractions lose their appeal because they no longer align with what you know to be important. This alignment between belief and action strengthens your confidence, creating a cycle where each step forward reinforces your sense of direction. At times, inner conviction may challenge you to move against common expectations or familiar patterns. You may feel led to make decisions that others do not fully understand, or to pursue paths that seem unconventional. This requires courage because it means trusting your internal guidance over external consensus. Increased resistance often appears when you are moving closer to a higher level of impact, responsibility, or visibility in your life. It can feel like everything becomes more difficult at the same time. Delays increase, obstacles appear more frequently, and even simple tasks may require more effort than usual. What makes this experience confusing is that it often occurs right when you are making progress or stepping into new territory. Instead of smooth advancement, you encounter friction, as if something is pushing back against your movement. This resistance is not always external. Sometimes it shows up internally through doubt, fatigue, or emotional heaviness. Thoughts that you had previously overcome may resurface. Confidence may fluctuate. Motivation may feel inconsistent. At the same time, external circumstances may also seem to shift, with unexpected challenges or complications arising in areas that were previously stable. This combination of internal and external pressure can create the impression that things are not working, even when progress is actually taking place beneath the surface. One of the reasons resistance increases is because growth naturally disrupts established patterns. As you evolve, you begin to move beyond familiar limits, and anything that is not aligned with your new direction starts to feel unstable. Systems, habits, and environments that once supported your old level may not be able to support your new one. This mismatch creates friction, which is experienced as resistance. It is not a sign that you are failing, but a sign that you are transitioning into a different stage that requires adjustment. Resistance also tests your consistency. It reveals how committed you are to your direction when conditions are not easy or predictable. Many people interpret resistance as a signal to stop, but in many cases, it is actually a sign that what you are pursuing has significance. If there were no value in your direction, there would be no need for resistance. The very presence of opposition often indicates that you are moving into spaces where your influence or responsibility is increasing. During this phase, persistence becomes more important than speed. Progress may not always be visible, but continued effort ensures that you remain aligned with your path. You may need to refine your approach, adjust your strategies, or strengthen your discipline, but the underlying direction remains valid. Resistance forces you to become more intentional, more focused, and more resilient in how you operate. Urgency is one of the final internal signals that your life is shifting toward a higher level of purpose and responsibility. It does not feel like panic or anxiety, but rather like a deep awareness that time and opportunity are becoming more significant. You begin to sense that delaying action carries a cost, even if nothing external is pressuring you directly. This awareness often arises gradually, shaping how you think, decide, and respond to everyday situations. What once felt like optional goals start to feel necessary, and what once could be postponed begins to feel immediate. This sense of urgency is closely tied to clarity and conviction. As your understanding of your direction strengthens, you start to recognize that certain windows of opportunity are temporary. You become more aware that growth is not indefinite in its timing, and that specific seasons require specific action. This does not mean rushing or acting without thought. Instead, it means becoming more deliberate and intentional with how you use your time. Distractions that once seemed harmless begin to feel heavier because they take you away from what you now recognize as important.